Hi everyone, welcome to the UH Manoa Pre-Law Advising Center, also known as PAC, Applying to Law School workshop online presentation. Our event today will provide a general overview of the law school application process. So regardless of where you are in the process, whether you're just starting out as a freshman or even graduating soon or have graduated, much of this information will be very helpful to you if you have an interest in law school. As a quick overview, PAC is a pre-health and pre-law advising center open to the public. We're open from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. and our physical office is located in the Physical Sciences building at room 214. You can make advising appointments with us online using Star Balance, email, phone call, or walk into our office. And the pre-law side of PAC focuses on providing one-on-one advising assistance related to law school and the legal profession. And before we dive into the material for today's workshop, here is a list of our other pre-law workshops for the fall 2023 semester, and you can use the QR code in the flyer to register. And here's our agenda for today. First, we'll do a brief overview of the application process as a whole, then dive into the specific application components, including the LSAT or GRE exam, transcripts, resume, personal statements, diversity statements, or addendums, and lastly, your letters of recommendation. Students tend to focus on deadlines. However, in this application process, it is important that you focus on timelines. Law school applications generally open in early fall, which is late August to early October of every year. There are two general application timelines you should be aware of: early decision or priority, and rolling. Most law schools accept applications on a rolling basis with a final deadline. Under rolling admission, candidates are invited to submit their applications at any time within a large window, from when the applications are open until the final deadline. The school will then review applications as they arrive and notify the applicant of their decision from within a few weeks to a month from submission. The application closes once all the seats are filled up. However, some schools also have an early decision deadline where applications are submitted by this deadline will have priority review over students who submit at a later date. This can be beneficial because your chances of getting a spot are higher since there are more open seats available earlier in the application process. Important to keep in mind, however, is that some law schools may be binding for students who submit by the early decision / priority deadline. We recommend submitting your application as soon as it is ready, ideally before the priority deadline, because you will have a better chance of acceptance and you'll have time to work around any unexpected obstacles. Richardson Law School accepts applications on a rolling basis and has a priority deadline option, which you can see here on this slide. The application opened on September 1st, 2023, with a February 1st, 2024 priority deadline and a May 1st, 2024 final deadline. Applying to law school requires planning. We're here to guide you as you prepare, apply, and ultimately choose where you want to go to law school. I'm going to run through these steps pretty quickly because we'll explore each of these in more detail in the following slides. So to begin, the first step in applying to law school is to create an account with the Law School Admissions Council, LSAC, which you must do before registering for the LSAT. Important to note here is that you can create an LSAC account up to a year early from when you actually plan to apply. When you create an account, you can preview your application requirements and see what you need and thus allocate time accordingly. Next, you're going to need to start preparing for the LSAT or GRE as well as officially register for the exam. The next step is to research potential law schools and application deadlines and requirements. Law schools can differ in their application process and needs, so this step is really important to note. This is also a good time to reach out to the Pre-Law Advising Center and speak with an advisor who can provide some guidance and assistance as you choose the law schools you want to apply to. Step 5, attending an LSAC law school forum is optional, but we highly recommend it if you are available. Following that is registering for the Credential Assembly Service, also known as CAS, which is what you will use to compile all of your application materials, such as transcripts and letters of rec. Finally, once everything is compiled for each school, you can apply to schools as well as track your progress for each application through your LSAC account. Okay, let's take a deep dive into each of the steps and application components. First up is the Law School Admissions Council, or LSAC. You can think of LSAC as the middleman between you and the law schools. This is what you need to do first. You can register with LSAC through the mail or online at the LSAC website, which is lsac.org. You should register at least 3 months before your school's earliest application deadline. Even earlier is better. And your LSAC account will remain active for 5 years. Next up is LSAC's Credential Assembly Service. Almost all ABA-approved law schools require the applicants register for LSAC's Credential Assembly Service, CAS. LSAC's CAS simplifies the law school application process for both candidates and law schools. With CAS, your transcripts, letters of recommendation, and any other documents required for each of your law school applications only need to be sent one time to LSAC. All ABA-approved law school applications are available electronically through your CAS account as well, saving you time and effort. LSAC combines your documents with your LSAT score and forwards a full report to all the schools you applied to. Register for CAS approximately 6 to 8 weeks before your first law school application deadline. Something to note is that LSAC is located on the East Coast, so be mindful of the fact that they are 5 to 6 hours ahead of time. And listed here on the screen is the cost of using the Credential Assembly Service. The subscription is a one-time fee of $200. The CAS reports are $45 each and will need to be purchased for each law school you apply to. So if you apply to 5 schools, you will pay that $45 report fee 5 times. There are some financial support resources to help with that. And they're a great value if you're able to get one. If you're denied, there is an appeals process, and that may take time. Some schools have no application fees, some offer merit waivers, or some, like Richardson, offer a service recognition fee waiver. And you want to do this in advance and be aware of any deadlines. And regarding the LSAT, so the LSAT can either be taken at a testing center in person, or it can be taken as a remote proctored exam. There are 9 times a year that the LSAT is offered, and we recommend taking the June LSAT before the fall of your application cycle. This is so you can use the remainder of your summer to focus on other parts of your application. And if you're unable to take that June LSAT, or you're not happy with your score, you have time to retake the test before your applications are due. The current fee for taking the LSAT is $222. And there are 5 35-minute sections on the test. So that includes logical reasoning, analytical reasoning or logic games, reading comprehension, the experimental questions, and your writing sample. So your raw score will be the number of questions you answer correctly, which is converted to an LSAT score that ranges from 120 points to 180 points. There's no deduction for incorrect answers, but blank answers will result in point deductions. So you want to be sure to answer every question. All questions are weighed equally, and your score will be sent via email around 3 weeks after the test, or 4 weeks by mail. For LSAT test prep, at PAC, we have a lending library that has books available for you to review or check out for a 2-week period. We don't recommend any particular study method or resource, but there are several popular resources which you can find listed on our website. And there are also free options for test prep, including the free official LSAT prep course from Khan Academy, or free Gale courses that you can access with your library card. For the GRE, some schools do accept the graduate records exam. The GRE measures verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, critical thinking, and analytical writing skills. And the test is around 2 hours long. It's offered year-round for computer-based exams, and the at-home option is now a permanent choice. Scores are available on my GRE account around 10 to 15 days after the test date for computer-based exams, and the registration fee is $220 currently. One of the unique things about the GRE is that it's a multi-stage test, meaning it'll adapt to your proficiency at which you are testing. So if you're doing very well in the beginning, the questions in the next sections will be more difficult. The slide here shows each of the sections on the exam, the number of questions, and the time for each section. For scores, the verbal and quantitative sections are scored on a range from 130 to 170 points in 1-point increments. Analytical writing section is scored on a range from 0 to 6 in half-point increments. And for both the LSAT and the GRE, competitive scores vary by school. So be sure to check the data for individual schools to see how your score compares to current students. It's important to note for the GRE that you can retake the exam every 21 days or up to 5 times within a 12-month period, so 365 days. There are a bunch of GRE test prep materials out there on the internet as well. In your search for resources, you can look at our pre-law advising website on the GRE. The link is available on this slide. So one of those resources is EBSCO Prep Step, which is free. And then also for UH students, you have free access to practice tests that will familiarize you with the sections on the GRE. And this resource also provides detailed explanation for answers and instant diagnostic scoring. There's also the ETS Prepare for the GRE general test, which has more information about the GRE itself, where to test, and resources to prepare you for the exam. So again, you can find all these links on our pre-law advising website, which is listed on the screen. So when choosing which exam to take, you'll want to check first if you're considering taking the GRE, if your school does accept that exam in addition to the LSAT. And if the school does accept both exams, you can consider taking a diagnostic test to see how you like the analytical reasoning or the logic game section on the LSAT, since that is the most difficult area to improve for a majority of test takers. And similar to other parts of the law school application process, it's important to check your school's website to verify each school's requirement. Now let's talk about transcripts. Schools differ in what transcripts they want, but generally you should plan to submit all of them: undergraduate, graduate, and other professional schools. It's your responsibility to request an official copy of all required transcripts to be sent to LSAC directly from each institution you attended, even if you didn't complete your degree. Allow 2 weeks for LSAC to process your transcripts once you send them in, and international transcripts may take longer. If you are a student at UH Manoa, you can go to the website listed on the slide to order your transcripts. There are different processing times depending on the option you choose, as well as different costs. Make sure to check your application timeline and deadlines to ensure you are requesting the appropriate option. Moving on to the next component of your application, let's discuss the resume. The resume you submit should be academic, meaning it is not necessarily a resume you would use for a job application. An academic resume should be used to show such things as your education, most relevant experiences, volunteer work, and awards. Remember, it is never too early to start your academic resume, even if you're just beginning college. An academic resume is something that should be begun early and added to throughout your academic career. At PAC, we recommend that you begin crafting a concise, well-formatted resume as early as possible using the recommended guidelines on the slide. Some key points include: you want to be brief, but make sure to provide enough explanation about your different experiences, awards, etc. for the admissions committee. Be consistent, make sure your formatting is the same from section to section. Be sure to only include post-high school information unless the experience is ongoing. Include clear headers and check the alignments of your dates. Use a standard black font. Recommended is Times New Roman. If you're a non-traditional student or you've been out of school for a while, you can feel free to place the education section after experience. And formatting your resume can be difficult, so please feel free to reach out to our pre-law advising center and meet with an advisor for help. Another component of your application is the personal statement. So for your school's requirement for what prompt you need to answer and what your page or word limit is. So the personal statement is the best opportunity to showcase who you are, your strength as a writer, and to establish a theme for your entire application. You want to share with the admissions committee about yourself, your experiences, and your life. You want to use vivid and descriptive prose with the intent to draw readers in and keep them interested. You want to make sure that you're answering your personal reason for why you want to go to law school or why you want to be a lawyer, and potentially answering how the law school is the best fit for you. So you want to be careful that you're representing yourself in a positive manner to the admissions committee. And after you've written a first draft, you want to be sure to revise and to carefully evaluate your grammar and spelling, and to be sure that you're putting across a good first impression of yourself. And addenda are an optional additional essay that you could include with your application packet that would explain briefly anything else not answered in your application. So this could be something like explaining why you got a poor grade in a class, or why you had a lower LSAT score, or potentially addressing misconduct that you had to report in your law school application. And some schools also offer the chance to write an optional diversity statement. And you may consider writing one if you have something that is critical to understanding who you are or why you want to go to law school that's not covered in another part of your application. So you could think about this as an additional way to explain to the law school admissions committee who you are and why you want to attend law school. So it's just a little bit extra space to cover something that's not elsewhere in your application. And letters of recommendation, again, you're going to want to double check your school's requirements for number that they require or recommend. And then if they have any requirements for who they want to have the letters of recommendation from. So it could be one professional and one academic. It just depends on the school. So double check those requirements. And then be sure that whoever's writing your letter of recommendation knows you well, and that they can write a strong and positive letter of recommendation for your application. And attending law school is an investment towards your future, and it can also be a considerable financial burden. Law school tuition can reach upwards of $50,000 each year. This amount does not include other costs like housing, school fees, food, books, transportation, or other personal expenses. Financing your way to law school will start long before your first day of school. It's important to know the different types of expenses that you may encounter as an applicant in order to start saving early. These pre-law expenses often must come out of pocket. Some quick tips are to take advantage of ways to save money on your LSAT preparation and applications. Create a plan for managing your finances during law school. Use budgets during law school to stay on top of finances. Come to our Financing Law School workshop and visit the Access Lex website. You should plan to file the free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA, as soon as possible. FAFSA is the largest provider of student financial aid in the nation, with programs that provide grant, work, study, and loan funds to students attending college and law school. It usually becomes available in October, although for the 2024 to 2025 school year, it'll be available in either December or January, depending on pending changes from the application from the Department of Education. Many states and colleges set priority deadlines in which you must submit the FAFSA form to be considered for the aid programs they administer. There's also a federal deadline each academic year, which varies from year to year, but is posted on the FAFSA website. Another resource you can check out is Access Lex, which is a nonprofit organization that provides information, counseling, and events about the financial aspect of attending law school and preparing for law school. And their link is at the bottom of this slide. And this was for our in-person component of the workshop. And then here is the slide with more information about Richardson Law School specifically. And thank you so much for listening. Be sure to check out PAC's other workshops this semester. And thank you so much.